everybody. I'm Hot Rod Bob, and you've got gas. The Great American Auto Scene back again on our regular date. Sorry for some of the confusion for those of you. We're going to be broadcasting live on the second Tuesday of every month from now until I run out of money or something. I don't know.
I think the only one that was confused was me.
Yeah, well, that's all right, because I confuse everybody on the first try. I'm very good at that, actually. Well, we're here. We're doing good, and we're live here in the gas studios, high above the ground, where we don't plan on getting any floods. Of course, we're in Southern California. We're barely getting any water.
That's right. Man, we are barely getting any water. Hey, what did you drive today, Bob?
I drove my HHR SS. Now, it's my daily driver. I have fun with it. It's 290 horsepower, turbocharged four-cylinder. It has more horsepower than my hot rod and my Corvette combined, and much more than my wife's, but because she's got a flathead Ford V8, and with dual carburetors, Edelbrock cylinder heads, and some special tubular exhaust headers. Hers is putting out maybe 100 horsepower. And it's got a Merc engine. It's bored. It's got a cam. It's just super quick for a flathead. But you got to put that in perspective, and that's one of the reasons the Chevy small block became so popular. It put out more horsepower than a full race flathead Ford did, and that was off the showroom.
Yeah, that was what a monster change forward. That whole overhead valve configuration was everything.
Yeah, everything.
And the short stroke, where the stroke and the bore were almost identical, rather than having these long strokes where the pistons are,
plenty of torque in the long stroke engines, but not much speed because they didn't get any RPM.
Yeah.
But the Chevy small block ended up being a real terror on the drag strips and the streets. So was the Buick, for that matter. And then what they call the Kettering V8s from General Motors, the Oldsmobile, and the Cadillac engines.
Man. And I think it was Oldsmobile and Cadillac were kind of the first overhead valve engines, at least in the 50s, right? People assumed they were related, I think, but they were just sort of developed concurrently, but it was two different engines.
Basically the same architecture to an extent, or the base concept. But they were lightweight casts when the Chevy came out with the 265. But that wasn't their first V8. Chevrolet's first V8 was 1918. And I had a couple of people challenge, as a matter of fact. Randy Kerdoon and I did a man on the street thing at the Glendale Cruise night a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
And one of the questions we asked was, when was Chevrolet's first V8 engine? Everyone's, 1965, 1955. And Oh, no. It was 1918. And someone said, well, that's not a production car. I said, yeah, that was a full production car. But you got to remember, back in those days, Chevrolet 4,000 V8 engines were built in 1918. That was full production. They only did 15 to 20,000 cars maybe that year total. And their big seller was the four-cylinder, not the Stove-Bolt six-cylinder that came out later on. So Chevy's got a long, varied history. One of the things that Chevrolet is best known for, that people don't want to give it credit for, is making Fords fast. And if you look back in history, both Gaston and Louis Chevrolet built racing engines and raced cars. They were both top racers in the day. And they built an engine they called the Fronty Ford, or the Frontenac.
Yes.
And it was a Ford motor with Chevrolet built and designed parts.
That's right, but not the GM Chevrolet, the actual man, Louis Chevrolet.
The man, the muscle, the legend.
The legend.
Yes, and there we go.
Hey, by the way, if you're wondering, where is Anna Octane? Anna Octane, here's a phrase that I've never quite understood, because we might be saying to ourselves, well, of course I'm going to get well soon. Did I have other plans?
No.
But get well soon.
Yes, get well soon, Anna. She's got the cooties, and she's taking medication for it, but it's not really working, and she's blonde, so you got to understand that. But hi, Anna. Hope you're watching. Hope you're feeling better. And Stormy, my condolences to you.
Oh.
But anyway, that's another story altogether. Hey, we've got some people in studio with us, and we got someone already waiting online, because we got a great show for you tonight about Van Nuys Boulevard, the movie.
Nice.
And one of the stars of that movie, we're going to be talking about that in just a little bit. Chris Carter's with us, and he's on the phone. We're going to be talking about something he's had a passion for, and I'll tell you what, that passion is going to come cross country. We'll tell you about that a little bit later on.
Very cool.
But in studio with us right now, Aaron Schwartzbart. How you doing, Aaron?
Incredibly.
Did I say that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay,
you said
good.
It wonderfully, yeah.
And with him is a student Yeah, we're putting you on the spot, Danny.
Yeah.
And say hi.
Alonso.
Say hi to everybody.
Hi.
There, you see, you did it your first time live on TV, and you've done it. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to talk about Aaron's program, and we'll tell you a little bit about that later on. But right now, Chris Carter, let's start talking to you about what's going on with you and Wild Cherry.
Hi, Bob. How are you?
I am doing great. How about yourself?
Doing wonderful. Glad to be on the show with you.
Well, I am glad you're here, and I'm glad that you resurrected that van. I saw your post originally on Facebook and thought that would be great to talk about because I remember the movie. I remember when it came out, and that was in the days when I was a cruiser on Van Nuys. Well, actually, I started a little earlier than that, but those were the days when the vans were getting really hot and heavy and popular, and this was a gorgeous machine. You have resurrected one heck of a van. Tell us about how you found it, because I saw the pictures of it out in the middle of nowhere with a tree on its roof.
Yeah. I just like everybody else, the picture went around the internet for a good year, and every time I seen it, I just wondered why nobody did anything about it. I'm St. Louis area, of Missouri, so I'm about 1,800 miles away, and there's a lot of enthusiasts that are about 30, 40 miles, from the van, and I can't tell you why nobody did anything about it.
Now, was it just abandoned out there?
Yeah, it was. It was abandoned out there. The story goes in 2004, there was a forest fire that swept hundreds of acres, and it burned, houses to the ground. It burned other cars around it, and for whatever reason, the van was somewhat spared. The people just abandoned the property and abandoned ship, and that was about it. About 20 years later, here I come.
Now, where was the van? Because that definitely doesn't look like St. Louis.
No, it was California, like Lancaster, Palmdale area.
Oh, okay,
man,
so
it
it stayed
close
local.
to here.
Yeah, it stayed local. Okay.
Yeah. And I seen it just like I said on the internet. I started doing my research damn near almost 2 years ago. Just anybody that shared the picture, anybody that had anything to do with it, I would email, message them, friend request them, and just ask them what they had to do with it. 99% of the time, it was a dead end. And the deal was it was a dog walker. There's a dog sanctuary at the top of the mountain, and he said he would go on really long walks with this one dog, and he would turn around at the van on the trail and go back up. He said he had his phone with him one day and snapped a picture of it, and that's the picture that went viral on the internet. And somebody had recognized it as the movie van, from Van Nuys. So they took a still shot of the movie, and then they, put it above the demise shot, of how somebody found it in the desert.
Wow.
And that's the actual picture. Russ Deuce is the gentleman's name that put those two pictures together. He's actually from the UK.
Oh, really? Wow.
So it really just went kind of worldwide from there. And I've contacted all these people, that had all this stuff to do with it. Yeah. I've contacted the original owners. One of them flew in from California to ride with me up to Van Nationals a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I heard about that. That must have been a heck of a introduction of the van to the vanning world again. Yeah.
They everybody seemed to love it. Nick, the original owner, he was absolutely ecstatic. He said it was like a dream come true.
All right, now he was the original owner. Was it his regular street van that ended up in the movie?
Yeah, in fact, he was the gentleman in the movie. He said back then he was just a 19-year-old kid who bought the van, and he seen it cruising Van Nuys religiously. That was before it was actually the Wild Cherry. It was just a red Chevy van with some porthole windows in it and a sunroof in the back. He said him and his brother went to go buy the van, and he said that he was picking his girlfriend up because they were in high school back then. He said he was picking his girlfriend up from high school, and she come out with a Canadian, Canadian Dry can of Wild Cherry, and she set it in the cup holder, and he said they both looked at each other, and the next day he took it down to the artist, and the artist who actually did it was Walter Prey.
Okay.
I'm sure you guys are familiar with him and his work.
I wish I could say I was. He saluted me.
He did another famous car, the Gypsy Rose. I believe it's in the Peterson.
Okay. Yeah.
He's the guy that did
the
that.
Gypsy Rose. That is a world famous lowrider.
Yeah, that thing was on the mall in Washington D.C.
Yeah.
Holy cow!
Correct.
Okay,
yeah, that's correct. So, and then I kind of did my best to duplicate it. I found an artist here in St. Louis area. Michael Parks, STL Pinstriping, is the one who did the artwork and the long lines and scrolling and all that stuff.
That's amazing.
So,
all right, so what's it powered by?
It's just got a small block 350 in it.
Okay.
Edelbrock carburetor and intake, and nothing special. Just a little RV cam. Since we'll be driving, cross country, and I plan on driving the wheels off this thing.
Not literally, though.
So,
yeah.
Right,
right.
Not literally. No, and even if I do, heck, I fixed it once. I'll fix it again.
Now you're gonna be coming out for SEMA.
Yeah, actually, SEMA Battle of the Builders is in October. Been invited to the SEMA show and all that stuff. I was actually out at the SEMA Gala in July. That was quite an adventure. I met a lot of great people. SEMA has done so much for the automotive world, and I'm just honored to be a part of it.
Well, go ahead. Now, you got that car, the van is painted up, the interior is done. I haven't seen any shots of the interior yet. We're still looking through stuff. But you got this thing just the way it was back in the movie. Now, when was the movie? Because Van Nuys Boulevard I cruised Van Nuys Boulevard when I was a kid, but the movie came out in the mid-'70s, didn't it, or late 70s?
Yeah, it was the late 70s. Actually, it was filmed in late 79, and it came out in early 1980.
Oh, okay.
And it was just a 70s B movie. I think it was shown at a lot of drive-ins back then, from what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
And Nick told me stories about how they would go to the drive-in and everybody would cheer, when the Wild Cherry came on and they're sitting at the drive-thru. So.
Hey, Chris, so I got to figure this out. It looks as if you took parts of the bones of the original Wild Cherry van to do the rebuild, or combined it with... what exactly happened? I don't think you recreated this van totally from scratch. Is there original parts from the original van in here?
Oh, yeah. I would say probably 75% of it is the original van.
Man, that is amazing.
What I did was I bought a donor van from New York, and I took the roof and I took the driver's side behind the driver's door pillar.
And that's because, at least partly, because the roof was caved in on the original Wild Cherry, right?
That's correct. That's correct. The tree, after the forest fire come through, it had weakened the tree roots, and then it was, that big old tree fell on it. It was definitely not a small one. Yeah. And it was just beyond repair. I did hammer and dolly it out, and pour power it out and everything, but there would have been so much Bondo in it, and it would just never been, to my liking. So. And
you did the work.
Yeah, I did. I did most of it. I like to tell everybody that I was driving the bus, but there's a lot of people on board.
You learned your skill.
A tremendous amount of help.
You learned your skill as the body man by hanging around this body shop when you were younger.
Yeah, my grandparents owned a body shop, in the area, and I would go there as a kid, 8, 9, 10 years old, and sweep floors and take out trash, and it just has always come easy to me for some reason. So, the guys would let me help, and I guess I kind of learned by osmosis back then, and just kind of picked it up. It's been in my blood ever since.
Well, I'll tell you what, looking at those pictures of before and after, you did an amazing job. Now, you've got a trip planned. You're coming out here to Southern California, bringing the van back.
I sure am. I call it the Wild Cherry Van Run 2018. We're leaving the St. Louis area September 15th. It's a Saturday. Mm-hmm. And, I did this, and I thought that me and a handful of my buddies were going to think it was cool and crazy, but since I did it, I kind of went viral on the internet, and all these people are going to join me, actually, for this van run.
Cool.
We've probably got, I don't know, anywhere from 50 to 100 vans meeting here in St. Louis.
Wow.
We've got 4 stops along the way, and each stop we make, we're picking up more people, more vans, cars, trucks, bikes, whatever you want to run. And we're going to convoy, across America to Van Nuys, California. We will arrive in Van Nuys Wednesday, and we're staying at the Airtel Hotel on Valjean Boulevard. From 2:30 to 5:30, there's going to be a meet and greet, kind of car show. There's optional food. You don't have to buy the food. It's just a service that we worked out with the hotel and that.
Mm-hmm.
The food and that, if you want to eat, I think is $20 for a wristband. And then, we've got the whole parking lot reserved at the hotel, the whole back parking lot and whole side parking lot. And we plan on, pulling up the vans and cars and having a meet and greet and partying in the parking lot a little bit. And then about 5:30, 6 o'clock, we'll cruise the boulevard there and, have a grand time, that's for sure.
Well, I know I got a bunch of friends trying to talk me back into vans. I had a van back in those days as well, but I've gotten out of the vanning, and I'm going to be bringing my hot rod out there. My wife may bring hers as well, so we're going to add to the group. I've also let some of the people know here of the van club that I kind of hung around with, which was called the Vandits.
The Vandits,
nice. Yeah. And I kind of let the leader of the pack know about this. They're kind of resurrecting the car club. So hopefully they'll bring out a few vans too. Wednesday night, that used to be club night on Van Nuys Boulevard. All the clubs would get together, and we had designated parking areas, that not official designated, but you knew who's parking in what area, so you kind of stayed away from that and you let them park there. The van guys used to meet on Van Nuys Boulevard in front of a mortuary. Why, I don't know. That was torn down. It's become Keys Motors right now, so it's an import car dealership. But that's where the van guys, when there was AV Vans, there was Associated Vans, and the Vandits, and a few other van clubs, and we just get together and park there. And we all had, at that point in time, most of us had early Ford, Chevy, and Dodge vans, because we were poor students and such, so we couldn't get the vans like you've got. By the 70s, though, late 70s, that's when the vans like you've got really took off, because, heck, you had air conditioning. You had power. Right. You had V8 engines. We were still running around. I put a V8 in mine, but it came with a factory 6-cylinder.
But yeah, and you also had a place to sleep.
Well, yeah. Well, I did too in mine, but it wasn't quite as comfortable. And you had disc brakes. You had better braking. You had better handling, independent suspension. So these vans were a huge leap forward. I never made that leap. I was still old school, and I had the old Ford Econoline van. But this is beautiful, and I've seen a couple of them restored now. They're getting real popular out here. I don't know about the rest of the country, but like you said, you went to the van meets, and that is drawing people from all over the country.
Yeah, it really is. I think the one person came all the way from Norway, I believe.
Jeez.
To the Van Nationals, yeah. And then there was, a couple people from California and, Oregon, all over the United States, really. So. Yeah,
one of the guys that's on the Ford Council with us here in Southern California, puts on the big Ford show every year, drove his van back there. It's a four-wheeler in the back, or four-wheel. It's got 4 wheels in the back. I forget what he calls it now. But
a tandem, maybe.
Yeah, and he was back there, and he won whatever his class was. So, but yeah, my wife and I looked at that and go, "Hey, we'd like to do that too." And they go, "Well, it's in the middle of the summer." Yeah, we'll say you're in California, but that's another story altogether. But I'm glad to see this van is back. I'm glad to hear your enthusiasm about it, and. Yeah, that is a picture right from the movie.
Yeah, straight from the film.
Straight from the movie. You should see it shortly. There's about a 10-second delay from what you're watching. So, yeah, there's the original movie. The flares were not painted; they were white, so they were gel coat.
Correct. Yeah, because again, it was just a 19-year-old kid's van. And talking with Nick just in the last 9 months, he begged me to paint those flares. The body color of the van. Yeah. As did so many other people. But to me, that's what I fell in love with, was the movie and the movie van and just the whole story behind it. So, I felt like I had no choice, but to keep them white, because to me, if I painted them the body color, it wouldn't be so much the wild cherry that everybody knows and loves.
Yeah, I think it's great that you found ones that are, the same shape. That's very cool.
Yeah, with the spoiler
actually,
front.
Mark Hahn, Van Crazy Customs from Virginia. That's why I like to say I was driving the bus, but a lot of people, were on board. He contacted me because I'll be honest with you guys, I'm just paycheck to paycheck, and when I got this crazy idea in my head, I had a savings account at the time, and I thought, well, what the hell, right? So I drove out to California, and by the time I'd gotten back, I was pretty tapped out on money, and I didn't know how I was going to do this build and put it together. I knew that I was going to do it, and then it was going to be done. And so I guess, like you said, all these people started seeing the enthusiasm and the passion that I had for it, and everybody started jumping on board. Mark Hahn from Van Crazy Customs donated the fiberglass. He donated the gull wing doors. Eric Leiser and Lisa Leiser donated the back porthole windows. Scott Bird donated the porthole, the bubble top sunroof. And then, just everybody started jumping on board. I have a friend, Ken Kirchhoffer, who owns Honey Auto Body in St. Louis. He's seen me trying to do all this stuff in my one-car garage. And, he said, man, he's like, get your butt up here. He's like, as long as you're working here every day, you're welcome to, to bring the cherry here and to work on it. And that was a huge blessing because, they have a huge body shop, and every once in a while, he'd pay his guys to help me work on it and to further the process, because I was on somewhat of a time schedule I gave myself, because I told everybody it would be done somewhat done for Van Nationals. So, if it wasn't for everybody's help, there's no way that I would have been able to execute this build in 9 months.
Man,
Chris,
job well done.
Yeah, very well done. Chris, thank you for calling in.
Thank you.
Keep in touch. Let us know when you're in town. When you're coming in town, we'll keep people posted, but I plan on being out there along with a host of others. We're going to take a bit of a break right now. Next up, Randy Kerdoon from KNX 1070 Radio.
Power engine is equipped with the same quality type semi-centrifugal clutch as the 85. For 1942, the 60 has an improved crankshaft. The main bearings are longer, and the pin bearings are larger in diameter, both resulting in a sturdier, more rugged shaft, longer bearing life, and smoother engine operation. And this year, the 60 horsepower engine is on a par with the 85 for accessibility. The low grill, low wide radiator, and the mounting of the fan on the crankshaft give more room for mechanics to work. Improvements all. Changes and advances that set a new standard for the low price field. And remember, these many new improvements are in addition to the proved Ford features that have set the tempo for motor car progress in the past. Every one of these features and improvements are to be found on each distinctive body style. The deluxe four-door sedan, roomier than ever before. The deluxe two-door sedan. The deluxe coupe. The deluxe business coupe. A brand new body style this year. And the new deluxe convertible club coupe. The business coupe has a divided seat back that pivots forward to permit easy access to a big compartment for luggage or salesman's samples. When this space is not used for luggage, 2 additional passengers can be carried on the small auxiliary seats that fold down from the sides. These seats make the business coupe a 5-passenger car. The 1940 Deluxe Convertible Club Coupe has a vacuum-operated automatic top that can be raised or lowered with a movement of a knob conveniently operated from the driver's seat. This costly feature is regular equipment, not an accessory at extra cost. Another outstanding example of the Ford ability to provide high value at low price. And here are the new lower-priced Ford cars for 1940. First, the 2-door sedan. The 4-door sedan. the coupe with plenty of room for 3 big passengers, and the business coupe. Like the deluxe, this car has 2 small folding seats for extra passengers. Here are the cars for those prospects who demand a lot of car at a low price. They are available with either the 85 horsepower engine or with the 60 horsepower engine at a much lower price. From this brief review, you can see that in 1940, Ford again has made tremendous strides in automobile design. 22 improvements, every one of them carrying a big sales appeal. The big job now for every Ford salesman is to see to it that every prospect knows about these new improvements, as well as the time-proved features of Ford design. At announcement time, you're going to meet more people than at any other time in the year. Let's start carrying the ball on announcement day and keep it up throughout the year. Contact, demonstrate, sell the big new car with the big appeal. It's Ford for 40.
That's the most official sounding music I've ever heard. Welcome back to the great American auto scene. There's Hot Rod Bob over there pushing buttons because after all it's live TV and that's what happens when you're live.
And I can't remember what my code is.
When you get back to the show, the code is we're live, folks.
We're live, so I'm going to shut this thing off right now. All right. Well, we got Randy Kerdoon waiting in Bay to come on, and he's got some great news for us about a couple of his podcasts that are really getting some attention.
All right, Randy.
Hello, Bob. I feel like I'm at 1940 after listening to all of that.
How you doing, guy?
Doing well, and your guest previously was very interesting, talking about the van and talking about redoing that, and just all sorts of really cool stuff to watch. When it's going to be interesting to see what that van looks like when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and he's going to be out here next month, so I'm going to make that cruise night on a Wednesday night. Of course, it's after your bedtime, so you may not be able to make it out there. Yeah.
Yeah, the downside to doing morning drive radio in Los Angeles, but I will say this. Talking about cars, brand new one's coming up on Thursday morning at the ungodly hour of 4:30 a.m. Pacific or Eastern Time, 7:30. Or if you're in the Europe area, you're probably watching Celebrity Bowling. But let me say, coming up this time, if you guys remember the TV show Mod Squad?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, Michael Cole is going to join me. We're going to talk about, if you've ever watched that show, and when it first came out, it had a Black Mercury Woody wagon.
Yeah.
And if you remember, and I remember this as a kid watching the show, and it was like third or fourth season, and we're watching, and the next thing you know, they have some problem, and they bail out of the car, and the baby blows up.
Yeah, I know.
It's kind of like
broke my heart.
Yeah, it's like what happened if the Batmobile suddenly blew up on Batman and Robin in the 60s.
Yeah, you just cannot do that.
No. And so Michael explains the reasoning behind it, and he also talks about how they did it and why the Mercury refused to explode. And what steps they had to do before they eventually did have to do that. Plus, there's a show on YouTube, and I started watching it just because it looked interesting. It's called Cold War Motors, and it's about a bunch of guys in Canada that go out to farms and land and acreage, and these cars that have been sitting out for years with snow on them and rust on them, they take those cars and they try to get them started and running again.
Wow.
Really?
And it's a lot of fun. You could see them on YouTube. Scott's going to be with us. In fact, he's going to be with us on Skype, which is kind of interesting. We've never done that before, but he's going to join us on Skype. And, of course, the show we had already, and there you could see earlier they showed a black Mercury. It was pretty wild. So the show which you showed also earlier that's currently on, our latest show, was with IndyCar's Joseph Newgarden. Mm-hmm. And the Playmate of the Year for 1968, her stage name was Angela Dorian. Her real name is Victoria Vetri, and she joins us to give her side of the story as to what's going on with the pink 1968 AMX that she got and kept for over 40 years before she eventually sold it. And they kind of have a little reunion and that kind of thing. So there's a big story behind that. And did I mention she was in prison for 9 years? But we'll talk about that as well.
All right, which looks better, the AMX or her at this point?
Does Randy have to go there?
Do I really have to go there?
No, not at all.
Very nice lady.
Very nice lady.
Very nice
Okay.
lady.
That's
Well, I
good.
will say this, a little behind the scenes is I caught up with her at the Hollywood show, which is an autograph show. You can go by and see a lot of celebrities from TV and movies and stuff, and even former playmates and all that, and you can get their autographs. And you could look them up on the Hollywood show, I believe it is, .com. And they have these shows from time to time. So I caught up with Victoria there, and of course there was a lot of noise, people walking around asking for autographs and stuff. So they put us in a closet, and it was the first time I'd ever been with a Playmate of the Year in a closet doing an interview.
Yeah.
Some broadcasters have all the fun.
Boy, when he came out of the closet, though.
With the Playmate of the Year, thank you very much. You said quickly. Although I must say it was fun, but it would have been a lot more fun if it was, let's say, a few years earlier. But that's okay.
Yes, I can understand that.
that.
I understand exactly why you're saying that.
And I mean that in the nicest, kindest possible way.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Is your arm hurt yet? Is she hitting you?
No, she's not here. Oh, Marta, yeah. So it will be when I come downstairs. Yeah. But that's a lot of fun, and we did that. And so again, talking about cars, you could hear it on radio.com. You could also hear it on iTunes and KNX1070.com, and of course our website is talkingaboutcars.net. So check it out, and that uploads on Thursday morning.
Okay, cool.
Man, excellent.
And for some reason, we got the Road Kings cars in the background.
That's right, because, of course, you and Randy were there.
We were there. Where were we?
You were on stage.
Oh, that's right. That's the Road Kings car show that we were at, Randy. You and I were harassing people over the PA system on a regular basis.
Well, we kept trying anyway.
We tried.
Yes. That's it. And by the way, they had some very nice cars there, obviously.
Yeah, we did get an offer to be managed. But
we did.
We did.
We did.
Is there managing you guys? Is there even a consideration
there
of
is no way to manage us. No.
No, there's no way to manage us. No, that's no. There isn't enough money in the world. But anybody who wants to try, we're willing to listen.
Yes, we'll listen. Not a problem. We're listening. We're taking offers right now.
That's right.
Randy Kerdoon and Bob Beck, the two car guys you want at your car show. And
absolutely.
And Bruce shows up, too, because he's the one that took this video. Now, what you're looking at is the Reith Automotive, Ron Stern's fuel altered, fired up, actually, at the show.
Yeah, and it sounded healthy and cackling.
Yes, it is.
I like that. Healthy and cackling.
It reminds me of a girl I used to date.
Yes.
That's another story altogether.
I think her name was Healthy Cackling, as a matter of fact.
Well, that's what everyone called her, because they. Okay.
Now we did go there.
And we're both in trouble. You were with the Playmate, and now I'm with Healthy and Cackling. It's just not going to work. Yeah, we're in trouble. I know.
Only if Scott took the video, then I think we're okay.
Okay, there we go. Yeah, well, I got a feeling Peg's watching this right now, so I'll hear about it when I get home. Well, another story altogether. Randy, so when's so you got your next podcast coming up, 4:30 in the morning? Pacific time?
Well, now, keep in mind, we don't do it live, but
No.
It'll be downloaded Pacific time, or uploaded, I should say, 4:30 in the morning. So if you're listening out in the East Coast, it's about 7:30. But the beauty of it is it's there whenever you want to listen to it. And we have all of our other podcasts up there as well from before, so check them out. Again, radio.com is changing things around a little bit, so it's a lot easier to get to the podcast now.
Good.
And you know, it's a lot of fun. Or, like I say, you can always go to the website, talkingaboutcars.net. iTunes is always a really good place. In fact, a lot of people kept telling me when we came on radio.com, when we started there, they say, well, gosh, I don't do that. I just do iTunes. I said, well, it's on iTunes as well. So, and Stitcher, I understand. Or so wherever you usually get really good podcasts, that's where it should be. And if it's not, tell them you want Talking About Cars on your podcast site.
I agree. Got to do it.
Well.
Hi, Randy. Thank you for calling in. Thanks for the information. And
you got it, guys.
All right, we'll be talking to you possibly not this weekend, next weekend. We'll be at the Budweiser show.
And I think there's also, wait a minute, I think there is a show coming up this weekend.
This weekend we are doing that cigars and
Cars
cars.
and Cigars?
Oh,
Yeah,
the
Cars and Cigars.
TMPCC
Yes,
thing. Yeah.
TMPCC.
I
We're gonna
could
be
not
out there.
make that one.
Yeah.
I wanted to.
We're gonna be. I gotta wash my car actually.
Oh, don't do that.
It's. I got to do something. But I'm gonna bring the one with air conditioning based on Southern California weather.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, so you're going to roll all the windows down.
Yeah, no, I'm actually going to bring the Corvette.
Oh, it actually has air conditioning.
The air conditioning's
Okay.
fixed now, yes. I had that taken care of. So now it's got air conditioning after umpteen million years.
Okay, then start loading because I won't be bringing anything with air conditioning. But we're going to give it our best shot.
Sounds good. All right, Andy. Thank you. Randy, thanks for calling in. Say hi to Marta and the crew down there at KNX Radio.
You got it. Best to you guys. See ya.
All right, take care. All right, we're back in the studio. We've got another caller calling in. We'll be talking to him in just a little bit. But let's start off with our guests who are sitting here in studio, patiently waiting for us. And Aaron, how you doing today?
Oh, incredible. You wouldn't believe me if I told you. Never a dull moment.
Well, that's good. That's good. We don't want dull moments. We want fun in life. And alongside just Danny and Bruce is out there working on stuff right now because we've got.
I'm out of camera shot.
Yeah, because Bill's patiently waiting. Bill Quay and a drag racer. We're going to be talking to him in just a little bit about a project he's got coming up. But let's start out with Aaron. And Aaron, what you're doing something for kids.
Yes.
And you're doing it in conjunction with racing.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
We have about 2 or 3 different flavors. A subset of our apprentices get arrested and sentenced by the courts to community service with Motor Gospel Ministries. Their cars are impounded because they were street racing or doing a takeover in South Los Angeles or something. And they're given a choice of a fine of around $1,600 and losing their car for quite a long time, or paying $65 to an intermediary to hook them up with Motor Gospel Ministries. We don't make any money. We're not for profit, but the intermediary, the community service matchmaking agency, gets $65. The kid gets their car back much quicker, and they don't have to pay the $1,600.
Yeah, I can see that as being an incentive. Now, with that, though, it's not just you pay $65 and get your car back.
Right.
They actually have to do something.
They have to do something. We're in the humiliation business.
Okay.
Everybody thinks they know how to drive until they spend about 5 minutes on track with me at speeds between 150 and 200 miles an hour.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like it.
And if they don't start off by being appropriately humbled, then we send them back to the courts, and the courts retract their leniency. So we have some teeth to send them back if they're not behaving right.
It's like a panel we were on down at the
Yes, sir.
LAPD office.
Yes, sir. This has been a long time coming. We've been holding racers panel discussions for the LAPD for 3-4 years now, and the many things that have come out of the racers panel discussions are, the purpose of them is to talk with motorsports professionals, law enforcement officers, government officials, and importantly, the guests of the honor, the illegal street racers that are in the gallery, in the audience, to say, what can we do to get you guys and girls to stop running over innocent bystanders on sidewalks?
Yeah.
And the things that have grown out of those panels are this. The fact that the courts are now awarding the young street racers, sentencing the young street racers to community service with us to come and learn to work on race cars. That's come out of it. The Beat the Heat program, wherein off-duty police officers drive the Motor Gospel Ministries cadet race team car at Irwindale, drag racing against the street racers, with Bob chortling derisively on the microphone, depending on who wins or loses or tries to pull a U-turn at the end of the strip.
Oh, yeah. And we see that on a Thursday night on a regular basis.
Right. The Motor Gospel Youth Center has come out of the Racers Panel discussions. Our most recent thing, which is we have a couple of really strong success stories, Justin D. Shield, Angel Rodriguez, and J.W. Baxter, and we have flyers highlighting those success stories with a little bit of their situation, and on the back of each flyer is a resource list. We list 5 racing venues within 2 hours of the San Fernando Valley. Don't let anybody ever tell you there's nowhere to race. 5 racing venues within 2 hours of the San Fernando Valley, and about 15 websites with organizations that will help the young people to find their way to the track. And we're giving these flyers with the testimonials on the front and the resource lists on the back to the new LAPD VT. There's one, yeah. It's the new LAPD VTD Street Racing Task Force for them to distribute as appropriate when they arrest or interact with the youngsters.
Yeah, no, we operate a program at Irwindale, and you come out with that. You do your Beat the Heat program there at Irwindale Drag Strip every Thursday night. Well, you're not there every Thursday night, but we're there for them to race legally and inexpensively and safely, at least. It's $20 to come racing on a Thursday night. You can do that. We also have, a lot of guys are doing burnouts in the middle of the street and donuts and such. We have a donut box, or they call it a burnout box. I call it a donut box because you can hang donuts there. And it's all safe. It's legal. It's $20. Come on out to Irwindale. You can watch the Beat the Heat program. You come out on a regular schedule. You come out about once a month, don't you?
That's correct. The last Thursday of every month.
Okay, so that's coming up in a couple of weeks. You'll be out at Irwindale. You can meet and greet with Aaron. You can go over things. That's Angel, isn't it, right there in his car?
Yep.
And he beat the heat.
Yes.
Now, one of the things we did notice is that he was driving a Lexus, and you could be driving a Lexus, you could be driving a Porsche, you could be driving whatever you want. You may be able to beat that Ford cop car. You may be able to beat the Dodge cop cars. You may even be able to beat the Chevrolet cop cars. But there's one thing you won't beat. The Motorola.
Yes.
They radio ahead, and the speed of radio is a lot quicker than a car. You're going to get busted. You're going to get caught. Maybe not this time, but you're going to get caught. And if you get caught, you're the lucky one. Because a lot of guys have gotten into accidents and killed. We had, in a 5-month period, we had 5 or 6 people street racing and killed racing. And not all of it's organized. A lot of guys say, well, it's an organized street racing group. Not all of it is organized. And down in Fontana area, there were 5 people killed, different nights. We had one guy in Gardena, and he was a well-known street racer, from what I understand. In the middle of the day, an impromptu street race. And he found the light pole.
Yeah.
And that was the last thing he found.
Yeah. Well, by the way, with thanks to Channel 2 and KCAL 9 for a lot of that video. But how far back does this go, Aaron? One could, we were talking during the commercial break about, you were asking when was the first car collision or car accident?
Right, the first motor vehicle accident.
Yeah, it's motor vehicle, not car.
Motor vehicle. Yeah, right. Like the Benz motor wagon or something like that. Has anybody recounted maybe how far back street racing has gone? Illegal street racing? It's probably just forever.
I can only speculate. It must have been horses in the Old West.
Well, two guys meeting on a path saying, I can run faster than you can.
Right.
Yeah. Right. I mean, so street racing has been around for eternity. It's not going away. There's nothing we can do to stop it completely. Right. But we can mitigate it, and we can get people to understand why. And I don't care who you are. You've been involved in cars. You have street raced. It may have been one light at a time, but you definitely put the power to the pavement and tried to get there faster than the car alongside you. Right. If you're still around talking about it, you're one of the lucky ones. Right. But we want to avoid that. Now, to give some background, Aaron is not just a talking head. You race a V8-powered Porsche 914.
Yes, sir.
And you go on some of the fastest road courses in Southern California with that car.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I saw that car and I go, okay, it's a 914. Then I looked under the hood and go, oh, wait a minute, this is a little bit more.
Yeah. Porsche made a fascinating marketing decision. Sometimes Porsche is known for engineering excellence. Sometimes they're known for aesthetic design excellence. Sometimes they're known for marketing decisions. Right, wrong, or indifferent, they collaborated with Volkswagen to make a poor man's Porsche so that more people could buy Porsches in the early 70s when very few people could afford the Porsche. And they made the mistake of making it mid-engine instead of rear-engined. Mid-engine car has the lower moment of inertia than a rear-engine car, so it's an inherently better chassis for going around turns fast.
Right.
But they put a 75 horsepower Volkswagen engine in it to make sure that the people that could afford the 911, the rear-engine flagship model, would still pay 3 times as much for the 911 as they were paying for this 914, which is a collaboration with Volkswagen. So my 40-year-old Volkswagen with the 383 stroker motor in it, I came from NASCAR, so I'm still partial to American Iron, even though I can't complain about the little German chassis. My 40-year-old Volkswagen spins the rollers from 90 to 180 miles an hour in 13 seconds. So that's Specialty Z in Chatsworth. Yeah.
Now, where is the engine on this 914?
Right. So in the middle, it's between the 3, where you see the 3, and the about the front of the rear tire there.
So you kept, even though it's a giant engine, you kept it where it originally sat.
Approximately the stock location. Right. If I lean back, my butt will get burned by the harmonic damper. Don't call it a balancer. It's not supposed to be a balancer. When it's doing its job, it's damping torsional vibration. It's not balancing the thing. But sometimes the damper is used as a balancer. But in either case, it's right behind my butt.
Okay.
Yeah.
But excellent. I remember when these came out, I'm an old guy, they would outrun a 911 in a corner.
Wow.
Especially when you got the 6-cylinder version of this. They did have the 911T motor, I believe it was, or something like that in it. It was a low horsepower 6-cylinder.
Okay.
And the 914-6, they had a 916, which was the one with the fender flares like you've got, would just outrun the 911s. Excellent handling car. Much better than the rear-engine 911s that were pendulums going around the corner.
Right.
Sure.
Well said, pendulum.
Yeah. So, Danny, what do you think of all this? Okay. All right, Danny, you got to stop talking. We don't have that much time.
Darn, so close on
Danny,
time.
I know. He's sitting here. We're trying to hold him back. I mean, he's just one of the most talkative people we've ever had in studio. All right, we're going to take a quick break from this, and for a few moments, talk to Bill Quay. Bill, you got some great drag racing information coming on in short order here, but I haven't seen you out at Irwindale in a long time. Where have you been hiding?
I retired 2 years ago when I turned 60 after that Wheeler Dealers TV show, and I moved to New Bern, North Carolina to be part of this West Coast 8th Mile Racing Championships they have out here.
Wow. No wonder I haven't seen you in Irwindale in a while. By the way, your sign is still up.
Yeah, I know. Anybody wants to call me. I still come out there. I mean, I saw you the last time I was out there, I think in February. I was privileged to come out there. Brought my grandson out there to teach him how to race a car.
Okay.
And that was a fun evening. But we're here right now. There's a place called New Bern, North Carolina. And this drag strip got shut down 2 years ago. And a man by the name of Daryl Stallings purchased it. And now it's called Thunder Drag Strip. And it's a whole bunch of local guys just like me who love this chasing racing are getting this back together. I'm with a man right now, and Kevin Helmick. He goes by the name of Grumpy Cat, and he's the guy that I called out for a match race with my 429 Mustang. I took and put the Sumper plates on it. So we're trying to revive everything we can, and I'm trying to bring all the stuff that all you guys taught me for all these years and have these East Coast racers. That we've done the match race call-out, West Coast versus East Coast, Grumpy Cat versus Thumper. Kevin Cox and Brenda, they're up in Detroit right now. They're even considering coming down for it. The track is going to open up October 20th of this year. And we're going to try to do everything we can to make it safe and good for everything here.
Well, now, what's your racing season like there? I mean, what's the weather like there? I mean, I'm a California guy.
California guy, well, let me put it this way. I take my rain jacket with me, Bob. There's rain days here because that's one thing I definitely have learned. So we're right here by the coast. We're at 20 foot of sea level, so it's good for good hole shot. As simple as that.
So you're going to have a long burnout box on some days.
Yeah, some days it's a very long burnout, you know. But I'm on here to take care of this Grumpy Cat guy. He's got to help. He's got this thing caged. He's got a nitrous and everything else, and he's the local tough guy.
Oh.
So I called him. He's a big old honking Marine type. You know how that guys are huge, okay?
Uh-huh.
And he's the only one out of the entire East Coast, and I'll say it this loud, that had enough torque in his box to come back and say, I'll match race you for the first opening day. So we're going at it.
Or what's he driving?
Kevin, tell him about your car. This is Kevin Helmick. He's my big Marine Grumpy Cat.
Well, we're driving a 2016 Dodge Hellcat Challenger.
Oh.
And so we're fixing to meet Bill out here at the drag strip with this 71 Mach 1 that he has. This I think he called it a 429. And show him how the East Coast style is, and educate him how to race out here where it's a little bit warmer than where you guys are.
A little bit, yeah. The humidity is a little bit higher too, I think. So a little bit more horsepower.
Yes, sir. That's right. That's why we run a lot of nitrous out here to help deal with all the humidity.
Yeah, well, you got water injection as you go down the track.
Yes, sir. Yeah, you definitely have water injection.
All right, so October, you're getting ready, and the Hellcat up against the Cobra Jet.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Bill, I've seen you race. I know how quick your car is. How many lengths has he given you?
Well, we're actually we've had this big discussion, and he's got quite a few strapping young boys and stuff in there, and I think we're going to do an arm drop, and I'm going to make his sons pass the bottle before he can even leave and chase me down. But we're going to do it old-fashioned 2 out of 3 and get everybody stirred up as much as we can out here. And I'm accepting any match race from any of these East Coast guys because it's my intention to go out there first opening day and get that perfect light. And, the only way these guys can prevent it is to take me out.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, Bill. You tell me and you show me an ET slip for anyone who gets a perfect reaction time, and I will send them a perfect light pit, just like I give out at Irwindale. Now, I'll add something to that. You guys chop the tree. You got to work hard at trying to get that perfect light. Well, when you do, sometimes you get a 00 and a red light, 009, 8765, something like that. Anyone gets a 00 red, I'll send them a 00 red button I had made up for guys that do that. Ooh. So you let anybody know that runs that race. You send me a photocopy of your ET slip, your mailing address, and I will send you either a perfect light pin if you got a perfect light, or a 00 red light if you got a red light on a 00 tree.
Yeah, because I got in my hand right now a Trip Zit perfect light that you gave me once. But they're gonna get all this stuff going, and we'd love to have some of you East Coast or West Coast guys come out here and gang up on these guys. Give me some help. They're gonna beat me. They're big Marines, these guys over here.
Well, send me the dates. We'll post it on the website and such, and so I can get you some information on that and get things going for you. And you never know. I might even just show up to watch.
I know. I thought about it because this is really that old school racetrack back in the swamp where you get back in there and if you got to drink a little moonshine in between runs or whatever, this is how these guys do it. I mean, it's a new world.
Drink a little, pour a little in the tank. Either way it goes, right?
Either way, yeah.
All right, Bill. Hey, thanks for calling in. Keep us apprised of what's going on. If you come up with a flyer, let me know. We'll get that posted as well. But we'll keep the date posted, let people know what's going on and when it's happening. And be good.
We definitely got a flyer coming up, but I do want to give a shout-out to all my extended family out there for all you guys to race safe.
All right. Thank you, Bill. Take care. Nice talking to both of you guys.
Okay. Take care. Thanks, Bob.
All right.
Bruce.
See ya.
All right. It's a great racing action across the country. And it's happening everywhere. They're resurrecting a track. We don't think about tracks closing any place but California.
Yeah, I know.
And obviously that's the case. But they've got the money together. They've got the enthusiasm, and they're putting it back together again. They might be in need of your services, Aaron, to bring that back. What do you think, Danny?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's right.
And
by the way,
how do we get him to be quiet? I don't understand.
As far as I know, here's kind of the condition of the New Bern drag strip. This would have been 2016. So yes, they're bringing it back from. I don't even know what the
woman.
Yeah, but definitely some rehab going to be happening here. But I don't know. It's gonna rock. It's gonna roll.
Got a feeling she's out there and not want anyone to know that she's there.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Yeah,
but I'll look down at the end of the. I don't know. We'll see how this thing comes together.
Look at that. Armco fencing, that has got to be an old school track. But it's got new scoreboards. It's got new style scoreboards. But look at the Armco. Now, for those of you who think that's kind of normal, NHRA has not allowed Armco in decades. They've had to have cement barriers at the ends of the track. And SCCA was probably one of the reasons they did that. In the early days of road racing, they used that Armco as guardrails. And the problem with sports cars, if they didn't do double layer of that Armco, they went underneath it. And there's a big race out in Agora Hills at a track, and in the first opening day they lost 3 lives because of cars going under that, for one thing. One guy lost his leg doing that, but they got rid of the Armco years ago on sports car racing because of its danger. You can see the gap there between the ground and the Armco. And a sports car especially, very low, can fit right underneath that.
Yeah. Wow.
So NHRA has or concrete barriers at each side of the track. But that place looks like it's even got separate lanes.
Yeah, great.
That's
great things
interesting.
could be happening there.
Yeah, it could bring resurrect racing. NASCAR guys are used to making left-hand turns. They can go straight here.
Yeah, there you go. Man, yeah. Speaking of street racing, how about some of those stats? Jeez. Holy cow! Now, this is what's referred to, Aaron, at least title-wise, as the church version. I think it's actually just
Church Cut, right?
Yeah, it's kind of cool because it tells a story.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not just kind of interviews and okay, here's what we're doing or whatever.
Right.
So.
Right.
And did you find an actual family, an actual mom and dad who lost their son, something like that?
No, this was all some of my friends from. I go to a group on Saturday morning sometime called Brewline Men's Fellowship, and you don't have to have done hard time to end up there, but it helps. Most of them got saved in prison. They're killers, rapists, drug dealers, some very bad dudes, or were very bad prior to getting born again. So. I wanted to make this video. I have a penchant for rhyming. I don't pretend to be something I'm not. I'm not one of these, Ice Cube, somebody trying to act like I'm a white boy from the suburbs. There's no getting around that. I can't apologize for that. That's who I am. I just happen to have a gift and a desire to rhyme. So I made this rap, this anti-street racing rap, and then when we went to make a video out of the anti-street racing rap, I pictured me standing there in front of the camera for 4 minutes rhyming, and that's not much to look at. So I got a bunch of my scary tatted friends from Brewline Men's Fellowship to be in the video, and it's all... the guy that's the grieving father in this, we handed him a photograph and said, here's what you're supposed to do, and he wasn't an actual grieving father. Although doing what we do, I have a lot of relationships with people that have lost loved ones to illegal street racing.
Well, the night that we did the LAPD panel, and Rodney Allen Rippey of Jack in the Box fame,
right.
Sure,
and I sat next to each other and discussed things, and we had a parent, father and mother, that lost their daughter to an impromptu street race on the freeway.
Yes.
On the freeway.
It killed 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
None of the drivers that were involved in the race.
Right.
Innocent bystanders.
Right.
And their daughter was one of them. Yeah. Now, unfortunately, the group that shows up for these roundtables is not the group they need to address. Those guys were more organized, and they don't do the impromptu racing for the most part, on the freeways where this incident happened. But it still goes to the point, contests of speed on the street are not safe because you cannot predict what's going to come out in front of you, what's going to make a turn in front of you, what's going to pull out from the curb in front of you. And we see that all the time. We had one here in Burbank a number of years ago where a motorcyclist was accelerating rapidly, which is easy on a bike, and someone pulled out from a side street.
Sure.
And he went partially through the car, killing both the passenger and the driver.
Wow.
Because he went right through. And he was killed, too, because the roof of the car, the bike went under the roof. He went partially over, partially under.
Got it.
So you never know. And I'm like anybody else. I like speed. I like driving my car, accelerating it rapidly. I don't do the street racing. And I urge everyone else to, you go across an intersection, be careful. Accelerate on the on-ramp of a freeway up to the freeway speeds. Get your burst of acceleration there. Don't street race. There's no future in it.
Sorry.
No,
in my 15 years as a chaplain for the National Autosport Association, I've officiated at 5 fatalities. We've lost 5 drivers doing what I do, amateur road racing.
Yeah.
Every one of those 5 made an informed decision to put on a helmet and strap in a car and risk his or her life, and died doing what he or she loved doing, having made an informed decision. During the same time period, there have been greater than 1,000 fatalities nationwide attributable to street racing, and a large portion of those 1,000 fatalities, 1,000 versus 5, as if that's not egregious enough, but a large portion of that 1,000 fatalities were innocent bystanders that were never given a choice.
Yeah, and that happened here in Southern California just last year. with one of the alleged stars on one of the shows that highlights street racing. And he was out on a street race here in Southern California, lost control of a street-type car and plowed into the spectators. He was fine. He didn't get as much as a scratch. And I think one or two people were killed watching it. So it's not the drivers necessarily that are in harm's way as much as the people that are watching it. And these people were thinking they watch this on TV. It's safe. It happens all the time. Well, today's street cars you buy off the showroom have more horsepower than the race cars we used to race.
Yeah, it's true. It's amazing, but it's true.
I mean, we talk about the Hellcats and the Dodge Demons. You're looking at a Dodge Demon with 840 horsepower off the showroom floor. Turn the key, drive away. Yeah, and that's the way. You got race cars today that are barely getting that kind of horsepower. Don't have air conditioning, radios, and can't drive on the street.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a brave new world. And getting these people off the street is
it's a tough thing.
But it's a job that you guys are doing well. So,
Thank you. Thank you. We're very excited by the progress that we've made.
Well, where can they find you on Facebook or the websites?
Right. There are several. Our website is motorgospel.org. Motor Gospel, just like it sounds, MOTORGOSPEL.org. Although I will tell you, I do 99% of my communication on social media. Sure. I barely use the website. It's there should people want to look at all kinds of details about us. But I spend most of my time on Aaron Schwartzbart on Facebook. Or Motor Gospel Ministries or Motor Gospel Youth Center on Facebook.
All right, so contact Aaron if you want to about this and the programs he does. Danny, thank you very much for being here. I'm sorry we couldn't get all of what you were saying throughout the day, but we'll work on that for your next visit. Bruce, thanks for being out here. I know. I told you I'd pick on you. And again, shout out to Anna Marco, Anna Octane, our hostess with the mostest. She's suffering through a bad case of the critters or whatever she's got, and she'll be fine. She'll be back next month when we come back. Second Tuesday of every month, we're back here with Gas. I'm Hot Rod Bob along with Bruce Barker, Aaron, and Danny. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you.
To Gas, the Great American Auto Scene.